Hey, Yahoo, it's Friday. Hey, welcome to our second episode. My name is Ron and I'm in the USA.
And my name is Bess Carlos, and I'm in the Philippines.
Yahoo! Anyways, I'm glad you guys are here. Today we're going to talk about Bess's first days as a virtual assistant. And there's a turning point during the first couple of months that really changed everything for me when it came to working with Bess as a virtual assistant. And Bess,
That's right. Remember last week we talked about how Ron and I met and how destiny brought us together despite being 30,000 miles apart. So today we're diving deeper into what happened after I got hired. And also, the most exciting part is that turning point that kind of changed him as a realtor.
yeah, changed everything. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So you wanted to talk about the first day?
Yeah, I think the first day when we first had after the interview, we started our first day. And, I was actually kind of nervous because I really didn't know what I was going to have you do. I knew I wanted help. I just didn't know where I needed the help. And I was going to try to figure it out, hopefully.
Yeah. I think the first day it's more of like getting to know each other.
Yep.
They call it the meet and greet. Remember,
True,
we
true.
talk about expectations, work expectations, rewards and bonuses if you get to close this, if you get
Yep.
this listing, remember?
Yep.
And
Yep.
then the tools, what are the tools that we are going to be using? After that call, I started watching YouTube. I started exploring those tools just to get ahead of the game. And then we talk about the work schedule. So that's the weirdest part, the work schedule. Because do you remember the schedule that you gave me back then, the first schedule?
Yep. Yep. I remember it was like eight to 12 and 4 to 8.
That's right. So you gave me a split schedule. I wanted to complain, but I could not complain
Hey,
because
you just started.
I just started, right? So whatever. I was like, okay. So
Well,
8 p.m. Imagine I'm in Manila, so that's gonna be 8 p.m. to 12 midnight, and then I have 4 hours rest, and then I have to jump back in and work again from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. Manila time. So it was crazy because I have 4 hours rest in between. So what I did, I remember in the beginning, I would just set an alarm clock and then I will sleep. I thought, that schedule is going to be really tough for me because that's the first time I had that schedule. But then again, eventually, I think we learned how to manage that kind of schedule and make it more productive for the two of us.
yep.
We remember that what we did is we started using that in between time to connect. It's not like we're talking for hours, but at least 30 minutes between that 4 hours. Instead of sleeping, we talk about, we'll discuss what happened during the first half of the shift.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
We
we practice scripts.
I asked you what was your biggest challenge of the day, or if you had any challenges, if you had any questions, and you always did. You always had a question, at
Yes,
least one or two.
that's right. Yeah. Questions like, how am I supposed to respond if people ask me this?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And then we'll talk about what's your plan on the next 4 hours of your shift. What else are you gonna do? So in the beginning, I took the time to manage my calendar, set the time zone. I want to make sure we're in sync in terms of schedule. And then the tracker, I created my own trackers. I wanted to be um, as organized as possible. So, and then I started watching some YouTube videos for the trainings and all that. Sometimes you have to help yourself. Possibly you cannot really depend on your client to,
Yep.
for your
And
client to give you everything.
true. And you know what I found very helpful is when what you did is you would tell me what you were going to do in the morning. I'd get an email saying, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on today.
That's right.
And then at the end of the day, you would tell me everything you did that day.
Exactly. We call that start of day report. 5 minutes before start of the shift, I would send you an email, something like, "Hi Ron,
Yep.
these are the tasks that I'll be working on today." That kind of give you a preview of what's going to keep me busy, right? And then at the end of the shift, I'll send you an end of day report that these are what I have accomplished and these are your appointments or these are your,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I really like that. That was a good system because I really felt like you were engaged. You got me engaged. And I
Mhm.
honestly, I felt when I saw that I was getting my money's worth. And
Yeah.
then I remember we had a conversation about because I had you working on the database of 5,000 contacts. And those 5,000
Yeah.
contacts were just, they were realtors, they were uh, leads that I had generated online, and they were just all kinds of stuff. And I hadn't, and I've had those leads for a long time. I never really contacted them. I
I
didn't have
remember
them.
that.
Yeah, I remember I didn't have them on any kind of campaign or
Yeah.
nothing.
That was my
Yeah,
first task. That's the first task you
that's
assigned to
right.
me is to call the 5,000, over 5,000 contacts in your database.
Plus,
And
plus, I had you set them up on action plans. Remember that?
that's right.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah. I remember that. I
yeah.
find that really tough because I think the experience was crazy because during the first few attempts of calling, I was getting realtors. So I'm a realtor too.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say. So you just have to come up with a fake script like, oh yeah, I know. I was just want to say hi. Ron wanted me to touch base with you. Say hello. That was funny. Okay,
Yeah.
what happened next after that?
Well, what happened was I remember you got the database all set up with the emails and sending out emails and newsletters and all that good stuff. And then that was kind of it for the moment. And we really didn't get a lot of results from that
That's
because
right.
they were just such random leads.
Yeah,
Past clients, you did get me some listings appointments from it because you talked to some of my past clients. I got to
that's
talk
right.
to them. But I remember one day saying, hey, this database didn't really turn into much, a little bit. You were all caught up with it. You did everything I asked you to do. And it was like, oh, what are we going to do next? And I was thinking, okay, yeah, I was thinking about expireds for sale by owners, right? Because
That's right.
those are the things that would be next. You do your database, call the people you know, and now, call some expireds, call some FISBOs. And I sucked at expired, so I didn't expect you to do expired yet. But I think the easiest thing I thought was maybe FISBOs.
And then we practice scripts, remember? We
Oh
kind of
yeah,
play and tweak what would be the most effective approach to for sale by owners.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And then I remember you started scheduling for sale by owners. I loved it
Yes.
because what you would do is you had access to my calendar. You would schedule it for sale by owner and you would put them right into my calendar.
You're
And and then you'd have like 4 or 5 appointments in a day sometimes, maybe more.
that's right.
And each appointment would stop me the closest to home, work my way out, or the opposite, depending on what I had to go do that day. And I really liked it. It had the seller's name there. It had some notes.
Yes.
It had everything
Yes.
I needed. It was more organized than I'd ever been in my life. And I really
I would
enjoyed that.
I put all the details, what transpired during the conversation, so to keep you in the loop, so you know what to say. We're in the same page when you go to the appointment. So I kept it that way. If the seller got upset, I'm informing you that he was upset. He doesn't like this, he doesn't like that. Remember?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I wanted the two of us to be on the same page as I want you to know what to say when you get there.
I remember you were selling me to the sellers. You were telling them how
Yes.
great I was. I remember that.
Yes,
And
that's right.
so I was the communication when I got there was great, but the craziest part is I couldn't close a for sale by owner. You'd get me
Mhm.
to the door. And that was all I needed you to do, get me to the door. And you did more than that. You built a great relationship with the sellers, but I'd go to the
Yes.
appointment and then I didn't know how to close a for sale by
Yes.
owner. And what I started to do was I started canceling the appointments. Remember that?
Yes.
Tell that story.
Yeah. You know, for me,
That was the turn point.
yes, that was the turning point. I remember that. Um, for me, dialing and trying to make phone calls for, let's just say, not 8 hours. Let's just say half of my shift or 5, 6 hours. I'm trying to looking into leads, calling them and trying to get the appointment. When I get an appointment, I get so excited. For me to get an appointment, one, two in a day, I'm so happy about it. So I feel proud for myself that I got an appointment. Imagine how many realtors are there. Just in Massachusetts, there are thousands of them. So for me to get you to the door, I feel like, yes, it's a success, something like that. And then there you are. One day you just sent me a text, and one thing that I normally do before, if you remember, every appointment I would send you a text. I'm reminding you. Remember that?
Yep.
I will remind you like, hey, I just wanted to remind you got an appointment at 2 p.m. with this and that. This is the phone number. This is the address.
Yep.
Other than it's on your calendar, it's in your calendar. I'm also sending you a text messages. But that time you started canceling. So in the beginning, it was fine because you always have this excuse. Please, sorry, Bess, please cancel this. I need to go to this, whatever personal appointment you have, or
Or
you know,
something. I was busy.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, I had listings. I was working with some buyers. I
Yes. Yes.
I actually had another job with the mortgage company, which we'll talk about later. But I had all these things going on, and so I was just pushing the appointments
Yes.
on the back burner. I was just trying to keep you busy because I wasn't serious about having a virtual assistant. I wasn't serious at all. You were way more serious than me.
I was really serious. I wanted to make it work. You don't have an idea how much I'm selling you as a great realtor to the people I'm talking to. And then there you are, you text me to cancel it. I was like, oh my God. I'm gonna text the seller and tell them I'm sorry, we're gonna cancel, and then I'll try to rebook the appointment, and then they don't wanna rebook the appointment anymore. And
I get
that's the
mad at
toughest.
you.
Yeah, they get mad at me. They that was the toughest part for me. So when you did that the first time, it was okay. The second time, I think, all right, you canceled again. That's fine. The third time, remember, I cried over the phone.
Yeah, I remember.
I cried, and I was so upset. I was literally crying, and my voice was like, you're serious, right? You're gonna cancel again? And I was like, you wanted to cancel again? Do you know how hard it is to get an appointment?
I know.
You remember that? I told them
I
the story
remember.
about that.
Trust me. I remember. I was just like, I felt so bad. You were like, I need this job. I need this to work. You can't. You know how hard it is to make these appointments. And I'm thinking to myself, it can't be that hard. But it wasn't like for us to go to for sale by owners. We just show up at the door and hey, can we get about a buyer? I wasn't being pre-sold before I went to the appointment. You're calling, pre-selling me. You're connecting with the seller, and they like you. And then I was supposed to be probably bigger and better than you, and I turned out to be the biggest loser. And that's how I felt when you cried. I felt like a loser. I'm like, oh my god, she's right. I'm like, all right, all right. I'm going to the appointment. You wouldn't let me cancel that appointment. I said, I'm going to go to the appointment. And that
Yeah.
was when the turning point happened. I said, all right, I need to get serious about this. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to go. And my calendar was full of appointments with for sale by owners. And I was kind of
That's right.
cringing. But I
Yes.
said, I said to myself, you know what? Just give it your best shot. Don't learn from every appointment. Get better. Figure out a good script. See what's going on. And that's what happened. I started
Yes.
going to the appointments, and I'd go in the appointment, and I started. I would just say whatever. And I remember leaving feeling like my bubble had just burst because I had no connection, I had no listing, and I'm like, what did I do wrong? And so I was looking at some scripts, practice some scripts. So the next appointment I went on, I tried a script. Hey, my name is Ron Dobashelsky. I'm with Keller Williams Real Estate. Best schedule appointment for me to come view the property. Yep, that's right. Come on in. Come on in. And then I started, oh, hey, what a great place. And so I wanted to find out why they were selling. And I was like, man, what a beautiful place. Why are you selling? And then
Yep.
I just kept building on that script. And then I started to close. I started to learn how to close. And
Exactly.
I remember one week we listed 5 for sale by owners. We listed 5 of them.
That's correct. And then, if you remember, we started doing a video call. And then, when you
Yes.
get to the appointment, there was one time we were on a video call. You went to the appointment, and that lady, the owner, we really had a great connection. And so,
Yes.
when you introduced me, by the way, this is Bess, this is my assistant, it was crazy because I feel like
You guys,
somewhat we know
you
each
guys are like
other.
best friends.
Yeah, we're like, oh, hi, hello. I knew you're gonna get that
You said that
listing.
too. You're definitely getting this listing. And that
Yeah,
was, and it's funny. That's what you knew. You almost knew before I went, I was going to get the
yes,
listing
yes.
because
I knew.
and what happened, I think what happened was we started to come together, the perfect storm, right? Because you set it up, you teed me up. And when I went there, I finished it. And
Yes.
then it just went, for some reason, I would just go, you had the appointment, you made that connection. I went, I made the connection. I gave my presentation, I did my close, and I would get the listing. And I got
Yeah.
5 in 1 week, and that was killer, unbelievable. And that was another turning point. We'll talk about that next time.
That
But
was a game changer because
danger. Yeah, the realtors would all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my God, how'd you get 5 listings in a week?" And they knew they were for sale by owners. How
I
you get?
know that.
And that wasn't the only 5. I had gotten some before that, but it was like 1 or 2,
Yes.
never 5 in a week. You know, so it was good and bad.
I remember one appointment where the guy was so upset. Remember, I thought you're not gonna get that.
Oh
He was
yeah,
so
oh
upset.
yeah.
He doesn't want you to be late, and he was
That was
like
that was
telling
the
me
thing.
he can't be late. And you're late. And I was freaking out on the text. I was like, you can't be late.
I know.
This guy
Yeah.
simply
Oh, remember? Oh, this is what happened. Remember, I tried to cancel the appointment. I'm like, Beth,
yes.
I can't. I said I got 4 listings already this week. I can't do any more right now. Can you just cancel that appointment? I'm going to be late. I was in the office. I was in Andover, and I had to go all the way to Peabody. I had to go down this one big stretch of highway. At that time of day was backed up, always backed up. And you're like,
Nope.
no,
We're
I'm
not
not
gonna cancel.
canceling. And I'm like, well, you said, if you cancel it, I'm not canceling. This guy was mad. He was
Yeah.
so mad because you canceled it once for me, remember? And the
Yes.
guy, you had canceled it once
I
and
rescheduled.
you rescheduled it. And then I tried canceling it again. The
You
guy's like,
want to
you're
cancel
not
again.
canceling it. I'm
Yeah.
waiting for you. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
And
and, and I said, okay, I'm coming, but my GPS says I'm going to be 45 minutes late. What late? He goes, I don't care. I'm waiting. I hung up. I called you, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy is pissed. And I go, and he still wants me to go, and I'm 45 minutes away, and I was already past the appointment time. So I go. I go to the appointment, and this guy, when I got there, when he came to the door, and the best part is because I had been practicing my scripts, I was so ready for this guy. And I remember he answered the door. This guy was like 7'9", big guy, huge. And he looked mad as can be. So when I got to the door and he opened the door, I could see into the house and I could see the hardwood floors had been completely done over. They looked amazing. But the rest of the house was completely dated. and there was no furniture. And so I introduced myself, and he goes, "You're all late." I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I go, "Wow, look at those floors. My God, they look amazing." He's like, "Yeah, you think so?" I said, "Yeah, they look really good." He's like, "Come on in, take a look." And I'm like, "Okay." So he went from being real angry to all of a sudden he's like cool, calm, cool, and collective. We're having a great conversation. "Oh, this is the kitchen." He's telling me all about the house. And next thing you know, we're going down the basement. He's showing me the basement. He's got this huge table down there, huge office table. It was really big. Sits back on the office table. He looks at me. He goes, "And I got some bad news for you." And I'm like, "You do?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I already have this under agreement and I don't have a realtor. How about that?" I go, "Man, that's awesome." I said, "You got this house under agreement at your price, no realtor." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "That's awesome." I go, "Can I ask you a question?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "How much did you get?" So he gave me the number and I was like, "Huh?" He goes, "What do you mean? Huh?" I go, "That's all you got?" He goes, "What do you mean that's all I got?" I go, "Well," I said, "I sold a house." I told him where it was in Peabody, same town as him, on a busy street, had no yard. This guy had 3 bedrooms. The one I'm selling, 2 bedrooms. So I explained how we sell houses at the highest price in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle. I said, "We had a bidding war on that property, and this is what I sold it for. If you're going to sell your house and use a realtor," I said, "you got to use me. Nobody markets his home sold like I do. So if you're going to sell it, yeah, you got to use me." "All right, well, what do I got to do?" I go, "Well, you got a contract, right? You know, that contract's done. I'm canceling it right now. What do I got to do?" I go, "Well, this is what we're going to do." I said, "My assistant is going to, when I go out in the car, I'm going to tell her to write up the listing paperwork. She's going to email it to you. When you sign it, then I'll go to work for you." I said, "But there's one thing you got to do." He's like, "What? What do I got to do?" I go, "You got to stage your house." "I'm not staging my house." I said, "That's okay. You don't have to stage your house because you got a good offer and you got no realtor." Wait. What? "Oh, okay. You know what? I know a stager. I own a gas station. She comes in all the time and puts gas in her car. She stages houses. I'm going to ask her if she'll stage my house." I said, "Okay. You sign the contract. You get the house staged. I'll market it and we'll get it sold." "Okay. All right." So I left. I called you, Bess. I said, "Bess, you're not going to believe what happened. I told you the story. You sent the listing paperwork, and within 5 minutes, he signed the paperwork.
Yep.
And within just a few days, his house was staged. And within a day of that, I had that house on the market for sale. We were marketing it for sale, and we sold it for 50,000 more than what he got when he didn't use a realtor. But in the end, he was very happy to get that $50,000 more, and he didn't have to do anything. So, like I said, we sold it for the highest price in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle to the seller. I delivered everything I promised, and he was happy.
And you wanted to cancel that.
And I want to cancel that so bad. It's crazy. But that was listing number 5 that week. Crazy, right?
Yes.
And that's when, like you said, the other realtors were saw what was
Started.
happening and they wanted to know how I did it and all this. I never got so much attention in my life.
Exactly. But you know what? I got some piece of advice for the VAs. So here's my advice for anyone who wants to become a successful VA. Don't be afraid to spread your wings. Sometimes you need to explore on your own, take initiative, and always think that work, your job as your business. You wanted to make it work because if your client is successful, then you're not gonna lose your job. I think, that just adds value to your client's business, and that's what will set you apart from the rest.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And you know what? This works for any business. It doesn't have to just be real estate. Sales is sales, right? Business is
Exactly.
business. So it's just a different product. So that was such a turning point for me. One when you started crying and were like, "Oh my God." And that one conversation and me finally going, "Okay." And that's when I realized when you cried that day, it was the first time that, because I hired other virtual assistants from the
Yeah,
Philippines. And the problem is, you don't really get to build a relationship with them. You don't really get to know them. They don't even almost don't feel like people to you. It's just a tool that you need somebody to work. And that was when you got upset with me that day and you were crying and I knew where you were coming from. I actually felt like, oh my God, this young lady depends on me to be successful to make this money, that she needs the money. I mean, I don't know why, but she's, I figured after that happened, I knew you were good. I knew you were good at what you did. I just needed to be better. You forced me to be better than I definitely was at that moment. Yeah, that was life changing for me, right?
mhm,
Because I really didn't have a plan. I kind of went by the seat of my pants. And if it wasn't for you pushing the idea that you wanted this to work and you were going to figure out how to make it work because you needed this job. Look what you had to go through to get the job. You didn't
yes,
want after a few months, because I only had a contract for 3 months.
that's right.
I was giving it a half-assed 90-day try. And you're thinking, I only got 90 days to make this work. And if this doesn't work, I got to start over. I got to find it.
Yeah,
And that wasn't fair to you, honestly. And I felt that after that day. I felt that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give it my best because I'm not going to let this fall apart and this fail. And because I got to, virtual assistants in the Philippines, they don't make a lot of money. I mean, it
mhm,
was more than what you were making, I think, at the
yeah,
time, but it wasn't much more. And, and compared to the US, it's nothing.
mhm,
It's really
that's true.
small amount of money for what you were capable of doing. And the amount of money you made me in that first 3 months was insane. And the funny thing is, you remember you got a story to tell over there too, because they kept track of your numbers.
Yes,
They kept track of what you did, and you were one of the top VAs at your
that's
company,
right.
right?
On the second month, yeah, my company recognized me as the top VA because I was getting you like more than average of 20 appointments, 21 appointments a month. And that's huge because some VAs can only get like 4 appointments in a month, 5 appointments in a month, and that's it. But your calendar, I remember I went back and confirmed the numbers, and it was month after month you were getting like 20 more appointments, you know?
Yeah, I know. That was awesome. That was really good. And I remember it's funny, you would work Monday through Friday, and then when the weekends came, you would spend time with your kids, and that's what you wanted to do. And that's where you would still be working. You would still check your phone. If there's somebody canceled, you would, uh, reschedule it on the weekends. You did a lot of stuff. I'd call you and you'd answer the phone. And it wasn't just Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week. It was basically Monday through Sunday.
I call
Like,
myself,
yeah,
yeah,
like it was like 24/7. So I got my money's worth. And I remember the kids had to go to school and you were going to take them shopping. And you're going school shopping for the kids. And I don't know, we started talking a little bit more back then, kind of about how things were, because I really had no clue and I wanted to get to know you more. Like, this person's a person and I need to know this person. She's hugely successful with me and nice. And now I wanted to know who you were. And I remember you telling me a story about the kids when, you would take them school shopping. And, I think the thing about Filipino women, they're very, very frugal. They can stretch a peso like nobody else can, right? Isn't that
that's,
true?
yep, yep, that's
So,
true.
so when you would take the kids shopping for their school supplies, they just got what they needed and that was it. I remember you telling me, remember? Tell me that,
Yeah,
tell me that story a
normally
little bit.
because I always look forward to the weekends because even if I'm working from home, I have to sleep during the day and then they'll be at school during the day. Although I spent more time with them compared to when I was in the corporate world, of course, there's a huge difference. Weekend's a weekend for me, and that time, first school year that I'm working as a VA, that was the best school year I ever had because normally either their school supplies are donations or I would get the school supplies for them because I have to pick the, let's just say, the cheapest, because I have three students. So I would pick them the cheapest school supplies because I have to budget the money to complete whatever they needed. That time, that was the very first time, because I think part of your reward to me, because we got a lot of listings, that was the perfect time when May, June, those were the months that we got those five listings in a week, right?
Yep.
So part of my reward from you was you gave me an extra bonus money, and you told me to bring the kids, let them do their own school shopping. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the first time if I do that. And that was amazing because they were surprised too. Before we go to the mall, there's always an orientation. This is our money. This is what we're going to do. I don't want you to be acting like this and that because, this is the only money I got. That day, they were so surprised because when we got into the mall, we went to National Bookstore. I gave each one of them their own basket. And they were like looking at me with their eyes wide open, shocked, and they're like, Mommy? And I said, yeah, go ahead. Grab what you want, grab what you need, and I'll pay for it. And they're like, what? Seriously? And I said, yeah. And they enjoyed it. Every moment of that time, I enjoyed watching them. They're pushing their own cart. They feel like they're so rich. The notebooks that they want, the pencil that they want. In the beginning, they keep on asking me, Mommy, this is like 70 pesos. Is this okay? My kids are so nice. They're very considerate. They would go to me and ask, Mommy, this is 100 pesos. Can I get this? And I was like, just go, get what you want. And then we went to the,
And I think I remember you reaching out to me. You're like, "Are you sure we can do this? We want to. Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, Bess." I said, "I don't care what they get. They can get whatever they want. There's no budget. Just tell them
yeah,
whatever they want."
that's
And I remember you sending me pictures of.
yes,
Remember that one picture? You still have it. We should put that
yeah,
on the
yeah,
podcast of them two your two youngest girls, where it's just the big smile from ear to ear showing me their stuff. And then
yes.
I remember when they went home, we shot a video, right?
They
Okay.
shot a video. It's in the
Yes.
YouTube.
Oh
It's
yeah, we got to put that
school
video up there.
supplies.
Yeah.
Yeah, school supply shopping haul, something like that.
Yeah, they were so excited. They were
They're so
so
excited.
happy and so excited that they got to get whatever they wanted. And then they still didn't overdo it. They just got what
Nope.
they needed. They didn't have to share anything, but instead of the no name notebook, right? The
Yeah,
plain nothing note, they got a regular notebook.
that's that's right.
So
That was the very first, and
yeah,
the rest is history.
that made me feel so good. Honest, I love that. But yeah. So that's what it was like in the beginning, and we'll tell the next week.
The rest is a story. So in the next episode, we'll dive into how our journey continued and what happened as we started gaining tractions with more listings, right? Get more attentions from other clients
Yeah, other realtors. Yeah.
or other realtors. And that's it. We're going to talk about that. Thanks again for tuning in. I think that's it for today.
All right, sounds good.
That's for today. So again,
Yahoo!
bye
Next
guys.
time. Bye bye.
Bye.